ago, coyotes called the prairies, mountains, and deserts of the American West home. Today, they live with humans across the United States. They are everywhere from the smallest town to New York City. So how did these small canids push their way into every corner of the country? Believe it or not, it is because of human persecution and coyote biology. As soon as Americans pushed west of the Mississippi River, there were conflicts with coyotes. The earliest coyote bounty I have found was Missouri's in 1825. Until the 1960s, those bounties were common throughout the West. In some cases, states spent an absurd amount of money on them. For example, according to the Missouri Department of Conservation in 1973, Missouri had spent $2 million on bounties since 1825. That equated to 200,000 animals killed. The coyote population in Missouri wasn't affected. Every state with coyotes had similar programs. Across the country, millions of animals were killed for the bounty alone. State and federal governments also killed millions through professional hunters and poisoning campaigns. What does this have to do with coyotes showing up on the streets of major cities? Let me explain. Before humans came to the Americas, coyotes lived with larger predators. As a result, they evolved survival tactics. Two major ones are fission-fusion behavior and their diet. Fission-fusion sounds fancy, but it just means they are comfortable on their own or in packs. Starting in the 19th century, those traits became critical for coyotes to survive their biggest test yet, us. People thought they could kill off coyotes like wolves, but they were wrong. Wolves are primarily pack animals, so they struggle on their own. Americans were able to kill off wolves in many places because of their social nature. That never worked with coyotes because their social structure is more fluid and they don't rely on a pack. Since coyotes are more individualistic, their populations quickly rebound. Even today, the best estimates are that Americans kill around 500,000 coyotes a year, but it doesn't matter. A runaway coyote can quickly move into new territory and establish itself. Depending on food availability and the number of other coyotes, females typically have between 3 and 7 pups a year. They are born in the spring to early summer. When a new pair of coyotes find an empty area, they quickly repopulate it. Coyotes also survived because they eat everything. Typically, they will eat small mammals, insects, fruits, and vegetables. Thanks to that variety, they can live anywhere and flourish. Since most of the eastern United States didn't have many predators, there was plenty of land for coyotes to expand into. They set out on the Grand March across the Mississippi River around 1920, and by 2000, they had reached the eastern seaboard. By the 2010s, coyotes were well established in coastal cities like New York. Thanks to the internet, urban coyotes have gained a cult following. In April 2023, law enforcement in New York rescued a coyote swimming across the East River. The video made national news and comment sections were full of support for the animal. As a coyote historian, it is wild to see the shift in perspective over the 20th century. They went from being labeled as the American Bolshevik by Scientific America in the 1920s to being minor online celebrities. I think a lot of that change has to do with coyotes moving into cities. With enough exposure, we have started to realize that coyotes aren't always the threat people believed in the past. We have slowly grown more accepting, and now coyotes are free in many cases